No, I think mainly the thing that I want to work on is kind of, networking in the niche and, building up relationships with business owners and list building. And yeah, those are the two main things that I'm focusing on right now.
The reason why I asked for the distinction, like if you wanted to work with copywriters or business owners, is because that's going to affect your overall approach. Hey, internet homie, Jamie here and Ben, and today I have a new video for you because I want to share actionable step-by-step marketing content that you can apply in your business right now, today. Today is a Throwback Thursday video, and that means that you're going to get long form content where you're going to learn either a specific copywriting technique, a specific marketing technique, or you get to watch over my shoulder while I work. So I definitely recommend getting yourself comfortable, get something to drink, make sure that you have something to take notes in, and buckle in. If you're ready to market smarter, not harder, then make sure that you give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of my next actionable marketing content videos. All right, let's dive right into it.
We interrupt this program to bring you the Marketing Nerd Show, starring Jamie, the marketing nerd. Grab a seat, take out your notes, and let's get into the show!
Yo, it's the Marketing Nerd Show. Welcome back, everyone who's watching for episode 2. If you're a freelancer or any business owner, really, there's probably one thing on the top of your mind, and that is getting more sales. The bad news? Sales sucks. What is the top #1 most hated profession in the United States? Well, actually, it's Congress people. But the second most hated profession in the United States is salespeople. So I just wanted to read you this fun little thing from a study. The researchers asked people what you would use to describe a salesperson. What words would you use? So here are some of the most common words to describe salespeople: is aggressive, untrustworthy, annoying, shifty, and the #1 descriptor is pushy. Blech. Ew. Who wants to be like that? I know for sure that you don't want to be like that, and I don't want to be like that either. But that does not change the fact that when you are a freelance business owner, you still need to get more clients and make more sales to put a roof over your head. So that's why I wanted to have a very important conversation today about selling with you. And before we get started, let me just tell you a little bit about what you have to look forward to. I have a super secret surprise guest who you're about to meet in a second, and we're going to do a live coaching call together. She's going to share her sales process. She's a freelance marketer. She's going to talk about how she's currently getting clients right now, and we're going to be workshopping together what exactly she can do to write better messages to clients, where she can find more clients, how she can do proposals, how she should run sales calls, and all that type of fun stuff. So I don't know if you guys have ever watched that TV show called The Masked Singer, where they have like celebrities wear these crazy masks and you don't know who they are until I guess they get voted off the island or whatever. And then they're like, whew, like, I don't actually watch that show, so I don't know a lot about what it's about, but this is kind of like that. So how can you learn how to find more prospects, close more deals, and not feel like a scumbag? Okay, this is where the typical guru, hypey, bullshit webinar advice thing would start. But look, instead of just telling you what to do, we are going to show you live exactly what you can do. We are about to introduce you to our super secret guest. We are about to share some screens, and we're about to learn how to sell. But before we move into today's content, let me just tell you the #1 thing that you can do is ask me your questions about sales in the comments of this video. Because like I said in this post, and if we can maybe get that banner going, ask your questions in the chat for an opportunity to be featured in next week's video. Because like we discussed, this is a special 2-part series. This part is the live coaching call with our top secret guest who you're about to meet in a hot second. And I promise it's not Barbara. Somebody else is going to be on the show besides me and Barbara. So that is part 1, is what we're going to be doing today. And in part 2, I am going to review your questions. Your questions that you put here in the video comments are going to be highly prioritized. I have a couple other ways that you can ask me your questions about sales too, but this is the important one because you're a Coolio person who is the real MVP and you are going to type them here in the video. So be sure to ask me your questions about sales as we keep going so that you can be featured in next week's Q&A episode where I'm going to be reviewing the top questions that I got after today and giving you some advice. So without further ado, let's bring on our guest.
Hey, Jamie. Hi, everybody. It's so nice to be here.
Hi, Disha. Thank you so much for being here. And everyone, I just want to tell everyone how cool you are right now before you get a chance to tell them about yourself. Disha and I, we've been hanging out for probably a couple of years now online, right? But this is our first time actually getting to connect. And everyone, you guys, she straight up literally got up at 5 o'clock in the morning just to be here with us today. So Disha, thank you so much for being the real MVP. And if you want to tell everyone a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Okay, of course, yeah. So yeah, we have actually been hanging out for a couple of years, I think it's been. And I remember I met you on Reddit. And
oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's been really great because, I remember I've been shooting you a lot of my questions and you've been really great at answering everything. So it's really cool that we can finally come on call and I'm super excited for the coach and everything. So I have essentially been in the copywriting niche for about 2 years. And in that time, I've done mostly direct response and I've been working with clients I've worked with Angel Publishing. At the moment, I'm on retainer with a company that sells trading indicators. And most of the stuff that I do is essentially, I do a lot of email marketing right now, a lot of sales funnel building, and a lot of newsletter work and just things like that. And since I'm on retainer, it's pretty much any sort of copy that they need, I'm there and they know who to turn to and they know what I'm going to do it for them. And that's that. And at the moment, since I'm on retainer, I'm not looking for any clients urgently, but I'm always looking for extra work. I'm always looking for work to expand on, also going to connect with more business people. And yeah, just looking to expand my network and get out there. And
Absolutely.
I know I've shot a lot of questions. Yeah, I know I've shot a lot of questions at you, so I'm really excited to get answers to all of them today.
Yes, you rock. And I think it's great that even though you have a full roster right now, that you're still focusing on seeing what opportunities and stuff like that are out there, because you know what they say, ABP, always be prospecting. So now that you're full is probably the best time to kind of gear down and improve your sales process so that you can crush it when you need to,
Yes, precisely.
So before we dive into all the fun screen sharing and stuff like that, why don't you just tell everybody a little bit more about what has your process been like for finding clients? Oh, actually, before you answer that, I want to back up and ask a question before that. How did you get started doing your freelance business?
Well, actually, so I got started about a couple of years ago, and back then I was just doing normal content marketing, a lot of blog posts, and I was working in the cryptocurrency niche, and I had a couple of clients where, I would just write a blog post for them. They wanted it to be a bit SEO oriented and things like that. And so I would do that, but then I kind of realized that, as the closer I am to this selling process, the easier it is for me to charge higher, because I can prove that hey, it was my sales that this is what got you the sales, right? Because with blog posts it's really hard to do that. And yeah, slowly I started getting into a lot of forums that kind of drill this into me, and I realized okay, it's time to make the switch. So that's when I started. And the first gig that I got in direct response was actually really lucky, because I remember there was a company that I really wanted to work with because they were kind of at the top of the game and everything. So I just cold emailed them one day, and literally I think half an hour later I got a response for them. And they were really open to hiring someone completely new, and they were completely fine with that. So I quickly got on call, and yeah, and that was a 2-month gig as well. So since then it's been pretty smooth, because once you have a bit of experience in the niche, I think it's not that hard to get clients as long as you kind of know what you're doing and you get results. So that's been my process so far. And yeah.
Damn, that's awesome that you got that gig from your cold outreach. Just wondering, is that cold email one of the ones that is in this document that we're about to share, or was it a separate one? I was just wondering.
No, that was quite a while back. That's not there in this document. Do you want me to
Okay.
pull it out?
Yeah, I mean, if you know where it is, but also if you have to like search and it's a big deal, then I don't want to like distract you or anything. But that is so awesome. And while you're searching for that, I just want to tell you, I absolutely love what you were saying about wanting to get closer to where the revenue is made so that you can charge higher prices, because that's so funny, but like that's literally the exact same reason how I started out in copywriting and stuff like that too. So I mean, that's why we get along so well, I think, is we have similar mindsets. And yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess if you started out in this like a year or two ago, I was maybe like just a bit ahead of you, doing it a lot part-time. And then I eventually rolled it into a full-time thing. So before we hopped on, we were going over some questions about like, I was asking you if you had proposals because I wanted to maybe look at that, but then you told me that you actually don't normally write proposals. So I was wondering if you could kind of give insight as to like what your actual sales process looks like right now, from like, where are you looking for people? How are you finding them? Are you reaching out to them? Are they reaching out to you? And we have some examples of that when it comes to reaching out to them. Everyone, for context, we have some examples of the types of messages that she is sending out on that case. But then are you like getting on calls with people? Or are you only doing everything through email and stuff like that? So yeah, if you could just give some insight into what your sales process is kind of looking like at present.
Okay, so there's two parts. So essentially, I know what kind of clients I want to work for exactly, and I think once I figured that out, it was really easy to prospect, because you kind of have to have certain like something that your clients must have in order for you to like reach out to them. So once I figured that out, it was really easy. And yeah, so right now for the past 1 year, I've been working in the financial niche because I figured out, once you have a particular niche, you have experience in that niche, people always prefer to pick someone who like specializes, right?
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I made up an entire Excel list of all of the companies that were in my niche, and I pulled out their emails. And so what I started doing in the beginning, this was way back, like I think about a year ago when I first started really getting serious about this. So I pulled out all of these emails, and then I decided like which companies do I want to prospect. And I decided that instead of just sending out like random cold emails, I'm going to personalize everyone like really, really well. And what I actually did was, so for the first gig that I told you about, I went ahead to all of their promotions and whatever they were putting out at that point. And I know that they need a lot of short form copy for the promotion they're putting out, because
since you're talking about the first one, let's get it up on the screen right now. If we could put my screen share up there, because I have it on, here we go. So just so that people can take a look at this and you could, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Keep going with what you were saying, but I was like, man, since you're talking about it, I would love to show it.
Yeah, so that's the first email. And basically what I did was I went through everything that they were putting up at that moment. And I decided I was just going to write some copy for them because I had no experience. I had no samples and I needed to create some. So I decided that instead of just creating something completely random, I might as well create something that's like especially for them, right? So I went ahead and I wrote one editorial, a couple of lift letters, some short form ads, and I put out this email. And then I just sent him a link of like the documents that I wrote for him. And I think the reason that I got the gig was because I wrote something particularly for him without actually expecting anything in return. Because if you see, even my CTA is just, let me know what you think. I didn't really ask for a sale there. And and that's what I've been doing for my recent clients as well. So I always offer to like write up something for them on spec. And yeah, even clients that have reached out to me have actually expected me to do some sort of a test. So that has worked out pretty well, because I'm honestly cool with that, because I mean, see the CLV per customer, it's 100% worth it always. So that's what I've been doing. And after that, it's usually like a couple of emails and we get on call. And for the call, I don't really have a particular process that I go by. It's kind of just, whatever the client needs, what their objections are, what questions they have, and I kind of let them take the lead. And at the end, I'll kind of, pull it my way, and I'll be like, okay, so I see what you need, but let me tell you exactly how I can solve your problems. And we kind of go from there. And usually it's just been a couple of emails and then one call, and yeah, things either work out or they don't.
Okay.
So
cool. That's really helpful for me to know about how that call process goes. And why don't you tell me more about like what, you said that they kind of tell you what they need and then also bring up their objections. So what type of objections do they usually bring up, and what, how are you addressing them and stuff like that? And just for context for people on the screen, I'm just looking at some of Disha's, like she mentioned, she does some work on spec. So this is that first email she was talking about where she was highly personalizing the outreach for cold outreach, and that she included some spec copy. So this is a little folder of the spec copy that she sent to them. And now I'm just taking a look at it because to be honest with you guys, to give you the most cold and from the gut straight shooting type of approach, I didn't look at the stuff too closely. I did glance over it, and Disha knows that I've been signing up for her stuff and wanting to see kind of a little bit what's going on in the back end. But for the most part, I've tried not to look at this in too much detail. So some of us are seeing this together for the first time. So I just wanted to give that little context about what exactly we're looking at. But yeah, Disha, if you can just tell me about what types of objections do people kind of bring up for you, and how are you handling them?
Okay, so first of all, they always want to know about my results. Like, I think that's like the first question that they ask. They're like, who did you work for in the past? What did you do for them? And were you able to generate any solid results? Do you have any sales that you generated? And things like that. And that in the beginning was not easy. That's why I used to do a lot of spec work, because I didn't have any solid proof, and I couldn't say like, hey, I generated these many thousands of dollars for like my last client, and I can do the same for you. So that's when I started off. But now it's not that difficult for me to handle that, because I have a solid figure that I'm like, okay, for the last client I did this much, and I can probably do the same or even better for you. So that's one thing. Another thing that they always want to know about is how specialized I am in the niche, because I generally only either reach out to the financial niche or the e-com niche, and they always want to know if I have like specialized experience, because clients tend to think that you need a certain amount of knowledge for their particular product, and which is definitely true as well to an extent. They always want to know if you have something that are relevant to their niche. So that's another thing. And yeah, other than that, a lot of clients actually ask me what I do to like get better at copy. For example, the current retainer that I'm on, I think I had like a 20-25 minute conversation with him about how we learn about copy, the copywriters that we follow, what groups we're on, who we look up to, and things like that. So if you can really show them that you're passionate about the subject, and you spend a lot of time just studying it and just internalizing all the things, then they really have that respect, because they know that you're working to get better, and you're going to put in the same amount of effort for their company. So I think that's the main 3 things that I get asked.
That's good to know. I have some thoughts on the call, the whole prospecting call thing. I like to keep asking questions so that we can like pull apart the whole story and like lay it all out there first, so that people can see what's kind of going on before we like dive into it. So, oh man, you ever like have a thought and then it just flies out of your brain? Okay, I was just like looking at what's going on with the screen. It's because you have your phone, and I'm like, you should be bigger. Nope. Okay. Anyway, oh gosh, what was the other? Oh, it's back. I got it. Okay. So what kind of goals are you working towards as far as like, not necessarily next month and stuff? And I know that you're full of clients right now, but in the future, like what are you kind of aspiring to? What kind of work do you want to do? And what are you working towards?
Okay, so at the moment, until about a couple of weeks ago, I wasn't really looking to expand into clients or anything, but now I'm starting to look ahead a bit, because I'm realizing that I have quite a bit of time on my hands. So what I want to do at the moment is to sell a couple of products that are like email autoresponders, because I think that's where like I can do really well, and I have quite a few stamps for that. So I want to sell like email sequences, and I know that a lot of e-com companies need things like that. So I want to expand outside the financial niche, get into a couple of other niches, so I can kind of build an authority there. And because the financial niche can be a bit, we have a lot of ups and downs, and suddenly things can just dry up, like if there's a recession coming up or something, because we're really like exposed to that. So I want to get into like a couple of other niches to just kind of spread my risk. And yeah, and of course, like it's always better for me to have a couple of clients at the same time, because I'm not putting all of my eggs in one basket. And so that's where I'm at right now. So for the next 2 or 3 months, I'm going to be focused on how I can like sell these products and sell this on the side as well. And at the same time, I want to kind of build an authority in the copywriting world and, get my name out there and get people on my list. So eventually, like maybe in the next 6 to 12 months, I would want to have like a complete funnel build out where, they get a few emails from me and eventually I'm able to sell them on my products as well.
Okay.
So those are the two things at the moment.
And then when you say products, can you like elaborate more on what your ideas are for those products?
Yep. So at the moment, I'm focusing on first the email sequences because I think like that's somewhere that I can do that right now. So first, I want to focus on like email sequences. I want to focus on selling sales pages, and eventually focus on selling entire funnels when I have more time on my schedule as well. And other than that, I also want to look at like I know a lot of copywriters do consulting gigs as well.
Yeah.
So so I want to like I don't really know enough about that to get into that right now, but I'm trying to do my research, trying to figure out how people do that. And if you have any advice on that, because I think you do that as well, that would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when you say like you're thinking of selling email sequences and stuff like that, you mean like templates that people can, or like you doing it?
Yeah, I'm doing it just for them.
Okay, well, that is good to know. And like you should separate in your business the distinction between products and services, because services is you doing the work. And you'll have to keep in mind that like, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you that this is a problem that I've like bumped into with my own business, is that when you are heavy focused on services, there's a upper limit to like how much time you literally have. So I'm not saying not to focus on services, but you'll just want to be aware, like, because you said products and that's why I thought like templates, you see what I'm saying? But so you'll want to consider that, like that distinction between the services and the products. But so you're thinking about like a productized service where like, I'm an e-commerce business and I want to hire you to like put, standard sequences like welcome, abandoned cart, sales, blah, blah, blah. But like you already, so like you want to develop set frameworks that you're working with and then people just hire you and you like bloop, plug and play. Like, is that correct?
Yeah, precisely. So I can have like sort of templates built for myself. I can personalize it for them, so it saves me a lot of time, and it's just easy for me to do that way. But yeah, you're right. I'm talking about services here.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to clarify that. And then as we dive into it, anything else that you want to work on? I know that we talked earlier about you have a little lead gen page that we're going to be looking at. Anything else that you can think about?
No, I think mainly the thing that I want to work on is kind of, networking in the niche and, building up relationships with business owners and list building. And yeah, those are the two main things that I'm focusing on right now.
Okay. Oh, one more clarifying question. When you were talking about wanting to build up like an authority in the copywriting space, is your target like the business owners, or is your target like helping people become copywriters?
No, at the moment, I think it would just be business owners. So at the moment, I'd be focusing on just that. But eventually, maybe 6 to 12 months from now, in the long term, I'd want to focus on, building up relationships with newer copywriters or copywriters at the same level as me as well.
Okay, cool. So to talk about any type of organic lead generation strategy and stuff like that, the reason why I asked for the distinction, like if you wanted to work with copywriters or business owners, is because that's going to affect your overall approach to how you create the content. So when you're thinking about doing that, you're going to want to try to focus on more stuff that's like case studies of or before and after type of things. You're going to want to go for any type of split testing type of posts and stuff like that. You're going to want to go more into that level compared to instructional content, like here's how you do copywriting and stuff like that. So for your question about how to get into consulting, but when you're on the discovery call, how much time do you spend telling people like what exactly you're going to do for their business?
At the moment, Not a lot, honestly, because I mean, it's kind of a warm lead, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
spend a bit of time. Like I show them my portfolio beforehand. I show them what I've done for clients beforehand, and so they kind of know who I am and what I've done. And the call is mainly just to like figure out what they want for their business and how I can personalize my services for them.
Okay. And then how are you pricing right now? Like, do you do it per hour or per asset or probably not per word, right?
No. Okay, so it's almost always been per project actually. So I kind of give them a whole, a compiled product where I'm like, okay, I'll build the main sales page and all the surrounding copy that goes along with it, and overall, this is how much it's going to be. So I've never really worked per hour because I think that's a bit ambiguous. I mean, it's just really hard to like figure out how many hours to charge for, and how long it's going to take me, and because especially when you don't know exactly how long research is going to take and things like that. So it's a bit more complicated. So I always prefer to do it per project. Or if I'm doing smaller gigs, like maybe I'm just writing emails or advertorials, it's always per asset here. So it's one of
Okay.
the two, never per hour and never per word.
So, do you do any type of time tracking right now when you're working on client projects?
No, not really.
Okay.
But I think I should be starting with that.
Yeah. So here, because something else that you and I discussed privately is like talking about how do you raise your prices and stuff like that. I
Yes.
want to share a story that my colleague and good friend Chris Jenkins, I'm going to give him a shout out so that I can send him this video and then he can't be mad at me that I sent him this video. But my friend and colleague Chris Jenkins once told me a story about a salesperson. And the salesperson, he was selling vacuum cleaners. There's like company A and company B. And like company A sells like $1,000 vacuum cleaner. And the dude was working at company B that sells like a $500 vacuum cleaner. So he's like, working at his job. But then one day he decides to leave company B, and he gets another job at the company selling the vacuum cleaner for $1,000. And he's all jazzed up. He's like, yeah, wow, cool. Like, I can't wait to see what makes this vacuum cleaner so special and like why they're able to charge so much more than us and stuff like that. And then, he went through his sales training and everything seems pretty much the same. So then he finally asked his sales trainer towards the end, like, but how am I going to be able to ask for $1,000 when I'm just used to asking for $500 for the same thing? And his sales trainer told him, all you have to say is, that'll be $1,000, please. So you just have to like get that confidence and feel strong in delivering the price. But what I think a good exercise for you to be, and I do this personally myself, is like each next job that you have, raise your price just a little bit more. So let's say you're doing, $100 per email. The next time, say it's $150 per email, $200, $250, like always tell them more, because for two reasons. I mean, one, you're getting a better idea of the value that you deliver to your clients. So you can probably already see in the math that, like, let me put it like this, that there's room for you to charge more in that margin compared to the results that you're getting. So that's always a good indicator. And especially like you're full with clients right now. So that's a good indicator that you can raise your price. It's a good indicator that you can raise your price when you're evaluating the results of your past projects and you can see that there's like more room to play. Plus, we already know that there are people who charge more than both you or I combined for like the same stuff that we do. So there's that knowledge. And on top of that, working in the financial niche, inflation and stuff is just a real thing. So like you would really want to raise the price of your business, even if every project and with new clients, so here's like how I manage it. Like, let's say I have a client A who I'm working with, and then I get a client B who I charge them like a higher price. And then I get a client C who I charge them a higher price than B. So I'm full now. But then D comes along, and D, I could charge the same or higher than C. So I tell A that, it depends on the type of contract and stuff like that. Obviously, But I mostly work with my clients on a month-to-month basis, and that they can leave at any point in time in the contract, because I just like believe in what it is that I'm doing, you know, so I don't need to lock them into anything. And there's no pay up front or whatever. It's just like you pay the first month and then we go month to month. But then I go back to A, and since in this case I'm working on like a month-to-month basis, I will, if it's a huge jump, I might give them a little bit of lead time. But I would float by, like, let's say client D, they agreed to the highest price of all, right? I would maybe come back to A and tell them, hey, in 3 months, we've got, you know, we're raising our prices. We've got some new results. And if you can quantify it by the numbers, that would be great. So maybe it's like, maybe they're paying me $2,000 a month, but I've generated them over $100,000 in revenue, like that year, just like trying to keep it in numbers that are kind of simple or whatever. And let's say client D comes along and they're, let's see, what would make sense mathematically. Don't mind me while I do some math. So $6,000 would be like probably too much if I only made them $100,000. But okay, so let's say that client D came in at $4,000 and these other people are only paying me $2,000 a month. So that's basically like a double in price for client A. So I come in and tell them like, hey, here's our awesome results. We have a full roster now, and because of that, we're raising our prices. So if you want to continue working with me in a month or 2 months, whatever lead time you want to give them, the new rate is going to be $4,000 a month. And if not, we can like wind down the contract and I can make sure that you have everything. Because let me put it this way, most people don't stay when you raise the price because they feel like they're getting the same thing for more money, when the truth is that they're actually getting something. Every project that we do, you improve your skills, so you're always that much better, but it's like you were actually undercharging yourself based off of the results that you got, but you didn't know like what they would be going in. So I would just be really, and here's the thing, like I know that you're a nice person. I'm a really nice person. And sometimes I don't want to cut those people. Like it feels bad to go and tell someone, hey, I have to double your rate next month. But I would, because I know you said you're not looking for clients right now, but I would maybe tweak that strategy to be looking for clients to pay you double what you're charging now while you have these people. Because then you can focus on, like, you know, you could cut 2 people and have the same amount with just 1 person. So it's less time, but the same amount of money in that case. So as far as like leveling up your business and charging more and stuff like that, I would strongly consider that. And like you said, you're charging per project. Okay, here's where I was going with the time tracking thing. I would highly recommend that you start tracking your time. Let me show you how I have mine set up. Let me just open it real quick. Okay, we can share my screen again. I'm gonna look at these people who are chatting with us too. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Lupe has a question. What's a normal retention rate for clients? We can pin that comment at the top. We will answer that. Actually, we'll answer that next week because Lupe is really smart and she's asking her questions here in the comments. And this is a good time for me to tell you guys, if you want to be featured on next week's episode, we're doing a 2-part special on sales. Today's live coaching call, and next week we are going to be taking the top questions from the comments of this video, and we are going to be going over them together. So let me show you how I have my time tracking set up. I have it by client.
Okay.
And then underneath of the client, I add like the specific projects that I'm doing with them. And this is a free thing that you can use. So yeah, but see, like, so these are Stafford marketing, and this might be a good one for you because I know that you're working at like a lot of these publishing places and stuff like that. I also used to do white label work like you're doing with like marketing agencies who are outsourced to by like other marketing agencies for their overflow and stuff like that. So what I did was I make a project for each client. Like this is my client, Stafford Marketing. And this is their client. And each one of these is like a brand or whatever. And then I don't know if you have to do it. Where was it? But I sometimes have to attend team meetings. So I put team meetings as like its own separate thing. But, or in the case, I'm trying to find of where it is, like I'm working just with an individual company.
Yeah, this is actually really cool because I mean, it would help me get a lot more control of my time as well because that's something I really need to work on. Because sometimes things just go out of hand and you don't know how long you're actually spending on a particular thing. And the next thing you know, you've spent like twice the amount of time you should have.
Yes, I'm going to give you like a huge, cool, big tip. Okay, here is what I was trying to show. Whoops. I'll look at the reports, I guess. So here's how, anyway, it's a little bit easy and cut and dry when you're Oops. Here we go. When you're working with like a marketing company like this, and you can make each one, like each brand its own project entry, that is pretty cut and dry. But I don't know if you're sometimes working with individual companies where you have many different projects going on, but like it's all for that one company. So I'll show you, hopefully,
At the moment, I'm working with an individual company, so I'd like to see that as well.
Yeah, I'll show you that. Okay. So this is how I organize my monthly retainers. Maybe I need to show you the detailed report.
I think Luca's got a question. Can I go ahead and take that?
Oh, yeah, you can go ahead and vamp on that.
Yeah, so she's asking how many clients I average monthly. So, I mean, that really varies depending upon like what I'm doing that month and, you know, how much workload I want to take as well. So at the moment, I'm only with one client, like I was talking about. So I just have one client on retainer, and it's an individual company, and they have a lot of work going on, and you know they're really, really great to work with. They're really easy to work with and everything. So at the moment, I just have one client, but like I said, I'm looking to expand into having at least 2 or 3 clients at the same time. And because I mean, yeah, I don't want to put all of my eggs in one basket because that's never great, right? So I'm looking to expand, but yeah, on average, generally, I would say I just have one client that I'm working on.
Do you ever do you have one client on retainer and then you're working on like smaller one-off projects?
Yeah, precisely. That's how I do.
Yeah. So I feel like you're definitely going to want to, now I see what you mean when you talk about diversifying risk, because yeah. And is this one client in the financial niche like you were talking about?
Yeah.
Oof, girl, that's so cyclical. It's been working for you so far, but like, you know, it's been working for you until it won't. Because let me tell you, I've been in the same place that you are. And it's even happened to me. Sometimes I've had more than one client on retainer, but one of them makes one of them makes up more than 80% of my revenue. And then the other one or two are like really kind of small fries or whatever. And then it really hurts like almost just as much when that giant client just bam, you know. So you want to try to diversify your income streams, which we're going to touch on auditing and consulting like you wanted to. But yeah, let me just dive back into showing you how I organize So this is all for one client, but we have like multiple different projects going on. So I just kind of type out like what exactly this project is called internally. So like sales page, and then I do a colon, and then I just kind of put some little notes about what it is exactly that I'm doing. So this is kind of what it looks like when I have it, like this is what I've done today. So then you see that it's like weekly planning and priorities, ask a past client for a review on Facebook, my prospecting and stuff like that. But you see how like this is prospecting. I put their name, and in this case, since they're not a client in my time tracking software yet, I just put it as the name of the person like that I'm speaking with, follow-up call, and then I do like follow-up call is kind of the project, and then a comma and prep. So here's what I'm getting at with the time tracking thing. Let me just
this is actually really cool to see, because it's always really interesting to see behind the scenes how everything works out. Because I mean, from the outside, we just see a lot of client work going on, but internally, it takes a lot of business, handling the business and growing the business. All of that is just a whole other job on its own.
Yeah. So here is how I think that time tracking can help you as far as sometimes I'm like very short. I don't know. I mean, you and I have never met, so you don't know that, but I'm extremely short. So like when we put the comments up here, I have to like, so that I'm like still up here in the stream. Okay. Here's how you can raise your rates. And also not only raise your rates in the future, but you want to make sure that the projects that you're working on now are profitable for you. So
yeah,
even if you're not charging hourly, you want to figure out two things. One, you want to figure out how much you're making per hour for the client that you're working on. So you would track the time that you spend working for them and then divide that by whatever the total retainer they are paying you is. So then you'll know like, okay, my effective hourly rate at this client is $20 an hour, $30 an hour, $50 an hour. I think that you will be like unpleasantly surprised, to be honest, when you go and do that exercise, like how much time they're actually sucking up from you. But it's important for you to like have that knowledge and also that realization. And that's something that I'm constantly checking for all of my projects. Like constantly is an overstatement, but at least like once a month, I try to find out my effective hourly rate for that month. And then I also try to understand my effectively hourly rate for the totality of our work together compared like how much money they pay me to how many hours I've spent working on their thing. But then what you're going to want to figure out is like a profitable hourly rate for you. So you'll want to have an hourly rate in mind, like, maybe $75 an hour or something like that. Like you'll have to, I would like crunch your expenses, and like figure it out. And then use a 30-hour work week as standard. Cause like, fuck the 40-hour work week. Like we're not doing this to work 40 hours. But if you want to use a 30-hour work week as like standard, just to figure out, and divide and figure out what your hourly rate needs to be to like make what you need for your monthly living expenses and include, your extra fun spending on top of that. Cause you want to figure out how much you have to make per hour to like maintain the lifestyle that you have. That is important. And then you can take that a step further by figuring out the hourly rate of your aspirational life that you want to have. So then you have two bars that you can judge your existing work from. So you can figure out like, is this client that I'm currently working with providing me my, call it living hourly rate? And if they're not, then you need to consider possibly raising their rate, even like without finding another client, like let's say that you're getting $1,000 a month or something, and then you find out that your effective hourly rate is like $40, but it turns out that you actually need to make 75. well, then you might have to charge them like 1,500 or 1,700 or 2,000 a month instead of the 1,000 that they're paying you or whatever, like just to bring them up to that point. And then you can also, this is how I evaluate the profitability of clients between each other. So, I mean, obviously, like if people are really a pain in the butt, like you don't want to keep working with them. And if people are super nice, then you want to keep working with them. But sometimes, like, let me put it this way. Usually it works out that the mean people suck up all your time and the nice people don't, but that's not always the case. So it's just good to know, like, is this nice person sucking up too much of your time? And even if you don't want to raise their rate, there are other ways that you can go about it. Like, let's say maybe you're offering unlimited like calls or whatever. If you want to rein in the amount of time that they're sucking up from you, you could move from unlimited calls to scheduled calls only. And then you have like more, even with only just that one client, if you don't want to expand it. Let me put it, no, but I don't take any unscheduled phone calls at all from anyone.
Okay.
And I barely, to be honest, like I try to reply to my emails, but my working hours are from Monday to Thursday, 9 to 5, and Friday from 9 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if they don't email me, like if they email me after that or whatever, I'm not going to get back to you until the next day. And if you email me on a Friday, I'm not going to email you over the weekend. And sometimes I put this like on hold if, you know, we're doing like a really big launch or something like that, you know what I mean? But I just want to tell you that like, I don't do that, but I also see the offer of doing it. But anyway, if there's like a nice person who you don't want to raise their rate and you don't want to chop them because you like working with them, but you can just say, hey, you know, we've got to move to scheduled phone calls only. Like you can lie and just say like, it's a new thing I'm doing with my whole business. Like, even if actually it's just for them or whatever. But yeah, so that and having the effective hourly rate will, or I'm sorry, that the aspirational hourly rate will be like a measuring stick that you can use as you move forward in your career to determine like, are you getting closer? You know, maybe you want to move to a new city or something, or maybe you want to go on so many vacations. You can figure out like how much that vacation is going to cost, like maybe $5,000. And then you can divide it by 12. And then you need like that many dollars per month for that vacation or whatever. And then this way you can use it to like use your aspirational effective hourly rate as a bar for what it is you're doing. So
Yeah, that's really cool.
So let's talk, I mean, where to find clients. I really wanted to cover this, but unfortunately you're doing everything right. So I can just, fortunately for you, unfortunately for the call, but I'll just go over how you're finding. Do you want to talk about how you find clients and then I can fill in the gaps? Because you're doing
Yeah.
everything right.
Okay, so at the moment, I don't have a specific process, which is something I need to fix because, you know, I need to like tell myself, okay, like every week I need to be prospecting again because that's something I've put completely on hold. It's been totally on hold, you know, like only if clients are approaching me, then I'm like, yeah, I'm available. Let's do this. But other than that, there's nothing. And in terms of like how I generally do it is, yeah, I'll pull out like the companies that I really want to work for, cold email them and, you know, give them something like really personalized, nothing that's cold outreach or anything like that. And personalize it for them, and then just try to like get them on a call because once I get them on a call, it's a lot easier for me to make the sale, you know, because then
Yeah.
it's just about like handling their objections and telling them, you know, like I can totally solve all of that for you. So that's what I'm right now. But you know, if you have a way to do it like that's a lot more structured and you know, that just kind of tells me, you know, this is step by step process that I can follow to just make it easier for myself, that would be really cool.
Yeah, I'm going to share some stuff on the screen that's going to help you. And so when you say that you email people, where are you finding their email? Like, are you just going to their website and finding it on their website? Or are you like looking them up on LinkedIn or something? Or are you finding their website, their email on something else?
Yeah, so it's usually LinkedIn actually because I try to not email the business as a whole because that tends to just not get a reply. It's just not effective. So I try to like, pull out their emails. Sometimes they have it on some blogs. Sometimes it just pops up on Twitter or something. Sometimes I can just connect with them on LinkedIn. They'll connect back, and then their email's just right there. But kind of just whatever it takes to find their email. And if I can't, then at the last resort, I'll email the business, or I'll be like, I want to get in touch with this person. Can you help me out? And a lot of times they will help me out. So that's where we're at right now. But I try, as much as I can to just get in touch with like one particular person in the business. You got to figure out like who's at the top and who makes a decision and go from there.
Who's like, as an example, one business that you want to work with, just so that I could show people how this might work?
At the moment, I would say someone in the financial niche, because at the moment I haven't been very updated with, who's at the top and what's going on. But yeah, just anyone in the financial niche. So for example, there's a company called Wyatt Investment Research. So that's someone that I tried to reach out to a while ago actually, but that didn't quite work out.
Okay, so, they're out of Vermont. I have a house, well, my family has a house in Vermont. Okay, so this is the easiest way for you guys to find some stuff is like, what Dish is talking about is creating something called a Dream 100 list. You make a list of people who, like companies that you absolutely definitely want to work with. It's part vision board because it's like keeping your mind focused on the big picture that you want to have and stuff like that, and part practical action roadmap. So since you mentioned Wyatt Investment Research, what I would do, and probably what you do, so for anyone who wants to see how this would work, is I would type it into LinkedIn, see all 12 employees on LinkedIn. So here's director of marketing. So I'll probably like reach out to him, president and publisher. I mean, he's able to connect. So I'll like probably connect with him. Customer care representative. We can probably skip her. Operation and sales manager. She might be a good contact. Production coordinator, administrative coordinator, senior vice president, investment manager of analytics, digital marketing. That sounds like she just works there. So how do you identify people, and this is instructional for everyone watching, how do you identify people who are the decision makers who are able to hire you? So obviously if they have like director of marketing, president, these people have the power to make like basically anything happen. And in this case, what's cool about LinkedIn is that we have some shared connections. Like I have some shared connections with these homies, and they are like really, really good shared connections because I have a lot of old school copywriters on my like old school and highly regarded copywriters that I'm connected with on LinkedIn. So when I add Walter, I honestly don't even say anything. I just usually connect. And I think that for you and me, Disha, that can work because we're cute and we're girls. But if you're a dude, you probably almost definitely have to say something in there to get to people. But me and Disha are cute, so we can just send invites to people and they'll almost definitely accept us. But especially when you have like you want to, like, if I didn't have like, I don't know, a customer care representative, that's not a good option. But if you don't have any connections in common with people, and some people lock down their profile and stuff like that, but you would want to try to find like who it is that they look up to. Oh, you know what's a good trick? You look at who's endorsed them and stuff, and then I would click on like this, and then I'd add these people, these people, these people, these people, because at least you know that this dude knows these people because they recommended him for stuff. So like this would be my strategy if you're trying to connect with someone on LinkedIn and you don't have any connections with them at all. And another good thing would be to look at the recommendation section. So like I would definitely add Dave. I would definitely add, I don't know how to say his name. I think it's like Lionel, but this is an I, so I really don't know. And then I would look at these people that he's given. One of them is the same, but so I would like add these people on LinkedIn, look at these people who are endorsing him for skills on LinkedIn, because then if I wanted to add him, I would have like mutual connections with him. And just like Facebook, you're not really going to add somebody who doesn't have like mutual connections with you. But luckily I have not only shared connections, but these like high level people. So who else did we say? Okay, so Right. So when you have director of marketing and president and stuff, it's really easy. And like I said, this is not for you, Disha. This is for everyone else watching. But I just wanted to cover this. So it's easy when they have stuff like this in their title. But who else is a possible decision maker who has the power to put us into a project? So like, I would not pick customer care representative because that to me says that you're not management. So in this case, operations and sales manager, this is somebody who could maybe, you know, and I don't have that many connections with her. Usually what I would do in this case is I would wait to see if one of these two people will add me back, because then if I add this chick who's a manager and she sees that her president and her director of marketing are LinkedIn friends with me, then she'll be like, oh, obviously, like, click. But in this case, you know, we're live on TV right now, so I'm not going to wait. Oh, and then I always double check that like they're actually still working there, because sometimes it says that as their current employment, but that's actually not where they are working. So then in this case, I would go again to add like, you know, honestly, in this case, because I don't want to like fill my LinkedIn up with a bunch of lower level people either. So I might add him. He's the owner of a business. She's a sales and marketing director. Like, so I would add her. I would not add this person who says networking. This account manager, I wonder if they've maybe worked together or something like that. And then let me show you guys a fun tool. So, all right. I think it's called hunter.io. Blam. Okay. So, company.com. So let's go at Wyatt Investment Research and see what their website is. This is their website. Oh, also guys, a good tip is to just go, like, if you can see some type of team page, this is a really ugly website. If there's a team page, this isn't about, but I go to the about to look for the team. But I don't see one. Oh, investment research team also includes a blah, blah, blah. Okay, so they don't have it broken down. Like sometimes you can go to a website and you can see them break down like all exactly who's in their team and what they do, and they have their pictures and stuff like that. So like in this case, if I wanted to get in touch with the CEO, blammo, here's the CEO, CMO, CDO, COO. They all have it nice and easy for people to internet stalk you here. But if, and this is the lesson for prospecting, is that you have to internet stalk people. So in this case, she doesn't, sometimes when you go to a page like this, and if they have their team all divided like this, they will sometimes actually literally list their email address, but in this case, they don't. So I like to connect with people on LinkedIn, and Lauren is already a connection of mine. But if she wasn't, I would add her. And remember, if you're a dude, you're like probably gonna have to say something. You're not cute like me and Disha. I mean, you're cute in your own way, but people just aren't gonna add you for no reason. Let me see what else there. No careers, email policy, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I can't find it like on their actual website. So I'll do this, blam, blam. This tool is free for like a couple of, you know, I don't remember exactly how many you can look up per month, but at last I checked, and sorry if they changed it since the last time I really used this, but the last I checked, you get like a certain number of searches per month, and then like when the month resets, you get like new stuff. But okay. What?
That's really, really cool, because I mean, you know, it's just easy to pull out emails like that.
Yeah, and so like in this case, I don't think they have anyone who we're looking for. We're looking for Pierce, Wyatt. Oh, is this Wyatt? No, go away, Hunter.io. No, this Croder, McElroy, Preston. Was Preston someone?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Oh, is there another page? Nobody, like, super important. Preston. No, fuck. I was there already. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Okay, so before I would guess that this is his email, then I would say, let's close that. I have two screens, so I'm just going to pull this over here for a second. And I would Google it. And I still don't see like, so what I would be looking for.
So sometimes what you can do is you can kind of figure out what their like official email address is, because a lot of them just have a particular pattern.
Yeah,
And
so this one is first.last@wyattresearch.com, but sometimes companies are wise to that. So they'll change the higher level people, their email address to, like, his might be CEO, or what was he, the CMO or something? I have to double check. He was the director of marketing. So actually, maybe not. So it could, like, so first I would literally type this into my Gmail and try to send it and see if that works. And how you know if it does not work is that you'll get like a bounce back. But some of these other things are coming up with stuff from him. So like maybe, okay, found 2 emails. How do I do this? Join in 5 seconds. I'm not gonna like join whatever this is right now, blah, blah, blah. So like here is 3 letters at wyattresearch.com. So I'm like, really, it could be just WAL, or if he has like a middle name, it could be like W, whatever his middle name is, P. Or you could sometimes you sign up for these websites and they're like, haha, like we're just fucking with you. We don't actually have this person's email address. But he does have an Instagram. So like, let's say I couldn't figure out his email. I would like, oh, nope, that's not him. That's some random fucking person. Why would this 60-year-old man have an Instagram? I don't know where I am right now. But anyway, so this is some ways that you can internet creep people. If you had more time and you weren't on live TV, you would try some of these other websites, like sign up for a free account and see if they actually like gave you what his thing is. If he connects with us on LinkedIn, we could just straight up ask him what his email is, or just to connect with them somehow. And then the point of me doing the Google search with his name in the brackets and stuff like that is so that sometimes even when Hunter.io and these tools don't pull it up, sometimes they have like a sales slide presentation or something like that they've maybe uploaded onto SlideShare like 5 years ago. And then if you search the email in Google, it could pull up like random shit that maybe he had his email address on, or like maybe there used to be a page that had his email on it and then they took it down, but it's still like indexed in Google or whatever. So that was just a little bit of a crash course on finding clients. I wanted to be more instructional with that. I mean, this was instructional, but you already know what you're doing. So I'm like, well, we don't get to learn together, but everybody can learn with us. Now, this is for you, Disha, and everyone, because you were saying, how can you be more consistent with doing your prospecting and remembering, to do it on a consistent basis? Do you use any type of project management software? Like we're looking at Asana right now. Do you have anything for this, like this in your business? I highly recommend getting it. I can explain how I organize it in a hot second, but let me cover this first. So I have, I make a task in my project management software and I write like on an individual line each place that I want to, like, that I normally go hunting for prospects, and I put it on here. So you're active on Reddit, so what I have on here is like post in our small business promo thread. I used to put dates on all of these. I haven't been doing this because I didn't, just like you, I'm like full with I'm full with Done For You clients. I was not really finding consulting clients, so I only have like coaching slots available right now. So I haven't been working on this so much, but I used to have the dates, because like this one's on Wednesdays, or I mean the days of the week rather. So what you can do is like set to repeat, and then you can say repeat like weekly on Wednesday, or like whatever. Oops, I want go away. Well, I'll figure that out later. But anyway, so like this one I put to Wednesday, the small business promo thread I put to like whatever day that is, like to Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't know. And I have posted our Entrepreneur Marketplace Tuesday thread, our for hire, our job it, our hire a writer, our hiring, our writers for hire, our writing job board. And then I also would add my Facebook groups into here. So like I would put like Cult of Copy and like some of the other ones that you're posting in and stuff like that. Then I put this main part to be due weekly. So like if you want to do, I like to do my prospecting on Monday, because then if I get bites or whatever, I have the rest of the week to schedule calls. Even if people aren't able to get on a call, you know, if somebody gets back to me on Monday afternoon, but they're not available Tuesday, that still gives me like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to have availability to talk to them and stuff like that. But I set then this to repeat on Monday. And then this is how, when I really was like hitting because like I said, these are more for services, done for you services, which is what you're doing right now. This is what I was doing. And then just a quick aside, I organize my boards like this. So, Kristen mentioned Trello, and you know, there are tons, Disha, of project management softwares that like you can check out. But I like to organize mine by parking lot, which is just basically like ideas that I have them, I'm keeping them, but I'm not like doing anything with it. Then I have up next, which is like stuff that I'm working on, but not like actively, but like I have a timeline in mind for when I want to do it. In progress is obviously like what I'm working on, and then done. I just like to keep everything that I've done, because when I'm feeling like sad or whatever, I like to look at all the things I've done, and it makes me feel better. And then I have a client. My client boards are set up like the same way. I don't really have a good one to show right now because like I archived like all my other ones. But yes, so that is basically, and that would be a really good thing for you to start doing if you don't have it, because you can keep yourself more organized as far as your business. And you can organize like all your thoughts flying around about your client work and stuff like that. I'm a big calendar person too. But you can set these up to like talk to your calendar and stuff like that if you're a big calendar person. Somebody asked if I use LinkedIn Navigator. I do not use LinkedIn Navigator because I have not needed it yet. But if you basically like, you know, Disha, you're probably in the same situation that I am, that like I kind of already know my dream 100 people or whatever. So when you have specific companies that you're targeting, then you don't necessarily need the Sales Navigator, and then you can just do it by the search and the quick way that I showed. But if you're like out of places that you're looking for and you need certain types of companies, like Disha was saying earlier that she works in a specific niche, which is like financial information businesses above a certain size and stuff like that. So then if she didn't have anyone that she was already thinking about, she would be able to find more people that way. Whoop. Did we lose Disha? Well, man, I want to talk with you guys about prospecting. And I am sorry that Disha is not here, but be sure to ask your questions about sales and selling in the comments of this video so that you can be featured next week's video. Next week's video is part 2 of our freelancer sales special on the Marketing Nerd Show. And I am going to be going over all of the wow, you guys, like, oh, here you are, Disha.
My bad.
No worries. We're about to talk about prospecting in a hot second, but just finishing it up. Yeah, my call to action that I was in the middle of is that you guys please ask your questions about sales in the comments of this video, because next week I'm going to be reviewing the comments and picking your top questions and answering them in next week's episode. Now that you're back, let's talk about prospecting and calls and stuff like that. So for everyone who was not able to join us in the beginning, Disha was saying that for the most part, you do not have a specific process or a specific way that you would like for the calls to go, and you just kind of let the client lead the call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I do basically the exact opposite, although it sounds like you've been luckier that your phone calls are shorter, because here's what was happening to me. Besides the fact that, like, you know, people like just, what was happening to me is people would just like, bleh, like word vomit everything that they're thinking of and just go in like all kinds of crazy directions. And sometimes it was like an inconsistent outcome, if that makes sense, about like, will I be able to take their word vomit in the end and piece it together into like what I need to close the call with, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. And so that was something that I had a big problem with. And also my calls would just go on for fucking ever. So it sounds like you're having better luck in that area, that if you're maybe having like 20-minute calls or whatever, and you're doing a little bit of this through email. But for me, I have a bit of a different approach. I like to get people onto the call as soon as possible because I just feel like I can build rapport and stuff like that better and faster and get them to know, like, and trust me on that call, to the point that sometimes I'm not even sending, like sometimes I don't even send people results until after our call. So like, and you luckily said that you don't spend a lot of time on, I'm trying to pull up some stuff to start showing and stuff like that too while I'm talking about this, so pardon me. But yeah, you said that you don't spend a lot of time like prescribing and saying specifically what you're gonna do and blah blah blah. Like and that's good that you don't do that. But what I find a big problem with a lot of people who don't have a structure to their sales call, who don't have a structure to their sales call can sometimes get too into the weeds of like trying to figure out the problem right there on the call. And to be honest, you should not be doing that, because when you're solving other people's problems on your discovery call, that's like knowledge work. That's stuff that you should be compensated for, and that's intellectual property. So here is how I do my client calls. Let's share the screen. Are we up? Here we go. Okay, so I have a little template that I made. And what I do is when I'm about to prep for a call, I start filling in as much of this information as I'm able to. So I'm doing research, I look at their website, I add that, look at their social media stuff, even though I don't do anything with social media. It's just, well, that's not true. I do like PPC stuff, which you probably do too, but I don't really do anything with like organic social unless it's specific organic social posts for a product launch or something like that. But otherwise I don't do like organic social or social media management or anything like that. But it is just good to get an idea of where people are. This tech stack thing, I leave it for when I'm on the call, and that's where I can just plop in important points, like if they're on Shopify or whatever, like I just plop that stuff under there. The products and services, sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't, and blah, blah, blah. And so here's the thing. I have a little template of, I don't always ask all of these questions, but they'll basically give me the information that I need. And I'll tell the questions for the fact that it's not super easy to read them. The first one is, I have a little intro here, because if I get anxious or whatever, I can always just double check and like have a little crutch. But I just always say, Hey Disha, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I'm really looking forward to getting to know you and more about your business. That's my thing. Maybe we chit chat and maybe we don't, because sometimes you get onto a call and there's like that awkward silence where it's like, okay, now what? And for you, that's probably when the client takes control of the conversation, right?
Yeah, generally, like, because we tend to have a direction for where we're going. But I mean, if I was doing discovery calls and things like that, then this would be really, really helpful because, that's when like I need to take the lead and I need to take the call forward instead.
Yeah, I would always recommend taking the control of the call because here's the thing. You're going to get all the same information. Like, you're going to get all of the same information, but if it goes off the rails or you don't necessarily get what it is that you need, or you don't get it in the order that you expect or whatever, just like we're saying, like they're stressed out and they have their priorities and things bouncing around in their mind. And sometimes at the end of the call, it doesn't really come out to be something that is easy to tie up into a close. So you can always lose control of the call. But I would try to keep it, if you lose control of it and you're really vibing and stuff like that, like that's fine. But if it's just like one more advantage that you have to have control of the call and know where you're going. And if you're vibing, you can just vibe. But if not, like you can just steer it exactly to where you need to go. So I tell people, and just like you, I've usually connected with people online and I already have like some idea of what it is that they're looking for or what they think that they're looking for. And here's the other thing. When people come to me and they say, I need emails, like I need this, I need that, I ignore that. I mean, I take it like and take that information and put it into my notes. But just like a doctor, you don't walk into a doctor's office. Well, some people do, but you don't walk into a doctor's office usually and say like, I want Xanax or like, I need ankle surgery. Like you don't come into the doctor and say, give me this, which is what a lot of people do with people like us, freelancers. They come and they say, I need emails, I need this, I need that. And in your niche, it's a little more common. Like if people are just doing weekly emails or whatever, like that's a bit more common. But when people are coming to me, they usually think that they need something, but I want to learn more about their business and what's going on and what their metrics are, what their revenue is, how many, like what their products and services are, how much their time they're spending in between the different products and services, like promoting them, which parts make up the majority of the revenue and which ones don't. Because what I'm not trying to do is have people come and tell me like, I need you to write me emails. And what I'm trying to do is find out the numbers that I need to plug in to show them that paying me a lot of money is going to be worth a lot more money to them. So we went over some of the key metrics as far as like revenue, products and the percent of the revenue share, how much time they're spending between the different products. So I tell people like, you already told me a little bit about what's going on when we connected, but why don't you tell me more about your business and where you are right now? This is the word salad part, and that's it. I have one question for the word salad part, and then the rest is really carefully planned. And if they give me information that fits into any of these other categories, like randomly, I just kind of plug it in to the different sections. But then I'm like, okay, well, what's going on right now? Like, why did you decide that you need to change? Why did you decide that you need to bring in a marketer? And they'll be like, we were making like $500,000 last year, and then our Amazon ads like tanked, and now we're only doing half that, and we're on track to do like 250 this year, and like we need to fix it, and blah, 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 blah. So they'll tell you like what the biggest, the thing keeping them up at night. I really hate that phrase, but that's basically like what this question gets you, is what's keeping them up at night. Then you say, I think I can help, but first tell me more about why. What business objective are you trying to solve? So like this question is designed so that if I ask them like, what's going on in your business that you decided you need to hire a marketer, and then they tell me like, I want you to write me emails again, or like, Jamie, I want you to give me ankle surgery. This next question, what business objective are you trying to solve, is to like divert their attention a little bit from sometimes people are like a dog with a bone and they think they want one thing, but it's not what's actually going to help them. So if it really is what's going to help them, obviously I'm going to give it to them. But if it's not, and this is the show where it will be probably most helpful for you and like more advanced skill, it helps me to identify opportunities to expand the scope of our project. If you can find, like, let's say they're talking to you about emails, but you find out that their PPC is like really shitty. Well, now that gift that's like, the more you know. So like, then that's an opportunity. Everything that they complain about, you want to log it down so that then you have an opportunity to see where you can expand the scope, where else you can add value and stuff like that. I ask people, what have you already tried and how did it work? So for example, I had someone was talking to me about email automations, e-commerce company, the niche that you want to get into. They were talking to me about email automations, and I told them, like, what have you already tried and how did it work? And then he told me that they had dumped a lot of money into Facebook ads and they literally saw like no return on that. So that makes me think, like there's other stuff going on than just the email sequences. So the email sequences, like, sure, that will be an overall part of what we do. But like, just to give you a more clear idea, he approached me talking about email sequences. Through this more structured prospecting call, I was able to expand the scope to be a full conversion rate optimization, like redid the website, redid the product pages. I project managed their web development team as we build out the new website. I designed all the wireframes and stuff like that. And the thing is, you have to have the experience. Like, I have a lot of experience in e-commerce. So I was able to see right away, like, what was wrong about it and how to change. And I know about iPaths and stuff like that. Have you read the article on my blog about iPaths and the internet?
No, I haven't. I should check it out.
I'll send you that afterwards. But yeah, so I know like enough that I felt like, not only did I feel confident that I could improve what was going on in that case, but also like I had the previous project experience to know that, like, okay, I've done this before. This is something that I can do here too. And a product launch on top of that. So he came to me for email sequences, and I basically like multiplied the scope of the project by like 5x because I was able to, like, he came to me for email sequences and I took control of the whole like project. And this has also happened to me. Like, sometimes I do, and by the way, Disha, a good strategy for you, I've been able to grow my business this way, is that you want to find complementary services. So for example, website developers, since we're both copywriters, I get a lot of business from website developers. Graphics designers are kind of another one, but I get a lot more work from web developers. So a web developer colleague reached out to me because he's like, look, I have these clients, they're paying me a lot of money to redesign their website, but I told them that if they don't have the right messaging and the right strategy behind it, it's not going to be worthwhile. So he referred them to me, and he went from, I'm referring you these people to write their website copy, to like, I became a virtual CMO of their company and like was in charge of basically everything. Yeah. Wow, I have a colleague who's also done this. He got hired on Fiverr to do some video marketing for this company. And then he was able to expand the scope of their work together from just doing some video marketing to ultimately like becoming the vice president of sales, like, of their company.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's the thing, and why, like, and you know, I get it, that and for you, like, you don't want to feel like you're cutting off these opportunities where you're vibing with people. right? But that can still happen, like even in these conversations. And here's the thing is that I don't always ask like any of these questions, like, I'm sorry, every single one. I basically almost always ask the first one. And sometimes I ask the first one and people but I feel like this is a little more targeted and it gets their word vomit a little more focused compared to just like, you know, hey, hi, chit chat subsides, and then like somebody has to take control of the conversation. So then the client just starts like talking about what it is that they want to talk about, which is fine. But when you ask this question and you're the first one to ask the question, first of all, I think it gives you leverage to charge more, because then you come off more as a professional. Like you have a process, you're guiding the conversation, you know what it is that you're looking for, and you already know what you're looking for. Maybe with these extra tips I gave, you can start to find opportunities to expand your scope. But otherwise, like, yeah, and this I feel like gets them more focused. And I still have the same, you know, vibing opportunities and stuff like that. We still vibe on my calls, but when I realize we're getting close to like, you know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, then I just try to get back to, I definitely try to find out what they've already done and how did it work, so that hopefully they tell me about something that didn't work. And then I can use that to inform like what else is wrong with their business and what else is like causing friction in their process and stuff like that. What's the most important metric for success is the one after that. Sometimes I ask that, sometimes I don't, because the obvious answer is just like money, or sometimes they have a really specific problem and I've already figured it out. And then you talk about objections. So the majority of my call, actually nobody mentions objections, and I get it all to be like, yep, yeah, okay, we're wrapping up. And then I say, oh, by the way, like one last thing, we're thinking about working together. Is there anything that you're concerned about or that you want to ask me? Okay. That is my surfacing their unspoken objection type of thing, because I don't want them to think about objections until I want them to think about objections, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you can try, like, by having it more structured, you're focusing on their business, on their problems, on what they're doing. Like, you're so cool, you're working so hard, like, good job, and just type away. And then you're like, okay, I think I have everything that I need right here. And I always tell people I'm taking notes. Like if you hear me typing, it's because I'm taking notes. And I'm like, yeah, let me just look, see if I have anything else. No, it looks like I have everything that I need. And just one more thing, like, before we go, like, is there anything that you're concerned about or that you want to ask me, like, before we peace out? And then they'll tell me their objections. Or they'll tell me, like, well, let's leave it at that. They'll tell me their objections. Then when I close the call, I tell them, okay, so here's what I heard. And I try to give back a summary. I might scan my notes and give them a summary of what I heard. This one, here's what I heard, and giving the summary is so powerful, because if I missed a big thing, then they're going to tell me in that moment. They'll be like, yeah, that all sounds good, but this, and then they'll say, whatever. And then I say, thanks for taking the time today. And I just want to show you real quick, we have to start to wind down, because we went, so, I mean, there's so much to share on sales. I mean, I can't even cover it in just one episode. That's why we're having a 2-part special, which even that's not going to be enough. But I do want to show you some proposals, Disha, so that you can think about, explaining your value and different ways of demonstrating your value and stuff like that. So let me just pull up. But I don't know that we will be able to get to your lead gen page. So let's take a look at this. All right. So here is the types of proposals that I send to people. I have the same format for everyone, and then I just customize it like unique to their business, I always have the introduction and the situation, and you're not trying to do some lame, like, the company was founded in 2000 and blah, blah, blah. Like, they already know when the fuck their company was founded, you know, they don't give a fuck about that. But I just try to give an overall summary. In this case, it was like, they tried to create a new self-serve website portal for 2 years, but they're, you know, they hired people who they spent a lot of money, and I say exactly how much money over here, but they spent a lot because they told me that, like, on our call, you know what I mean? Like, I'm able to get these numbers from people on the call to tell me that, oh, I spent $400,000 on development of this web portal, and it didn't even work, and then we had to invest more money on it on top of that. So it's like, okay, well, this is worth at least $400,000 to you, because this project was for some like PR stuff. They basically just wanted to, like, you know, it was like a boy who cried wolf situation. They tried to launch a thing, and then, like, it sucked. And then they're like, we're fixing it, but, like, you already told them you were launching it, and it sucked the first time. So they needed to fix, like, that type of stuff. So, and you know, just to tell you, like, how specific it is, I'll just read you, like, the last line of it. You know, the 2.0 release of their web thing is coming up in the next 2 weeks. And the company is ready to rescue their brand by winning back the trust of as many of the 3,000 lost accounts as possible. So that's, like, really specific. Then I have goals, where in this part I try, and when I'm writing these proposals, I go back to my notes. I'll show you, because I like you and because I'm the person, I'm the real homie who's going to show you, like, the actual stuff that I did. Let's look at my notes from my call with him. What?
When do you send these out? Is this after the call?
Yeah, so I do a call, and then I'm like, here's what I heard. And then I'm like, great, I'll send you a proposal, like, by, I give them a date, and then I say end of day Eastern Standard Time. So I used to try to do it 24 hours, but because they're all custom proposals, it became a little bit too, difficult to do it in 24 hours. So now I try to do, like, 48 hours or stuff like that. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. Like, a lot of this information was not useful. Biggest thing, how do we get out of there with humility? We've been waiting for a new portal to go live since 2018. It's now 2020. We should easily do $5 million with a functional portal. And then what else did he say? I told him, I crossed stuff out, and that's because I reviewed it in my notes from our call, and then I incorporated it back into our project. So here, in one part, he said, I would like the project plan to say phase 1 priority, identify, intensify, and supply. Identify, like, that we made a mistake, intensify the solutions that we tried to use, you know, for that mistake, and then supply the proof that it works. That's where we're at right now, and we want to move forward. Oops, that's so in here, when I get to the actual project options, I always give 3 options, option 1, 2, and 3. And in this case, option 2, I said, we will identify that to your clients that your company understands the ways in which it previously fell short. Implement a series, blah, blah, I'm trying to see, intensify. And then I wrote, like, bullets under that. Develop online communications to demonstrate the specific steps taken for the new web portal launch to address prior shortcomings on a point-by-point basis. Supply, rebuild their brand by providing proof that their 2.0 web portal finally delivers on what's been promised since 2018. So, like, I try to, like, literally take verbatim the words that they said in the call and incorporate it back as much as possible into my proposal. So I skipped a couple of sections, but so basically for the goals, like, I don't list any type of assets. Like, when you're doing a project with me, I don't promise you, like, you're gonna get 20 emails or, like, whatever, you know. I am spelling out your goals. So like one of the goals was win back as many of the 3,000 lost accounts identified between 2 countries as possible, retain accounts that have been reacquired at a similar level to their average customer retention rate, excluding internal changes to a client company's specific economic situation, which that part is actually something that they said to me in the call, that like sometimes, obviously companies sometimes stop working with them, like if some shit changes like in their company that they don't have any control over. So I put that in the thing again. The measures of success. I spell out what a successful project would look like. And in this case, I tried to quantify, because like I said, there's 3,000 accounts who left, and we're trying to develop like marketing stuff to get them back. So an average reacquisition rate would be like 1%, 30 accounts. A good would be like 3%, 90 accounts. Great would be 5%, 150 accounts, and excellent would be 10% with 300 accounts. I put some little stuff from the Harvard Business Review to try to like, just to give a little bit of context to them about where these numbers came from. Let's see. And in measures of success, like lapsed and current clients are aware of the steps taken by Label It to resolve previous areas of deficiency. So I don't necessarily have to like prove that, but if they wanted me to prove it, we could do that with a survey after the fact and be like, hey, name steps that they took to fix their shit. And then they could, you know, then we can see if any of the survey responses come back with like the stuff that they, you know, that we said like was stuff that they fixed or whatever. Value, this is key. This is like how I'm able to charge a lot of money. So when we were on our call with these people, they showed me this spreadsheet on a screen share where they were showing me all the different accounts that had lapsed with them. And I was able to see on the screen share, like the average, expenditure of that account per year. And so they also, let's see, HSN. On one of these, basically in one of these, they told me what a big account is for them. They said that like a huge account can do like $50,000 a month or something like that. But then I was looking at the accounts and I saw that a lot of them were like, you know, like $1,000 a year, like $3,000 a year or whatever. So I'm like, I just make it, you know, small, medium, large. And then I calculate out the potential revenue projection. And I say the formula is average annual order value times reacquisition conversion rate equals value. So if we got out of $1,000, only 1% of people, it's that much money. Out of $10,000, only 1% of people, it's that much money. Then I averaged it all, because obviously having it all be $10,000, oh, you could make $300,000 if we get 1% of the people back. That's like a really high estimate. So then I averaged it to bring it down to somewhere more reasonable. And then I did a weighted average estimate where we assumed that only 10% of the accounts that we recover are the large accounts, like over $10,000. And then I just split the other 3 categories evenly at 22.5%. So basically, if we got 1% reacquisition rate and only 3 of those customers were spending $10,000 or more a year, you could stand to generate a revenue of $90,000 in a year. So then I don't show the prices until the very end. I tell the timing, because, you know, I want people to get all excited. You know, I want them to be like, basically like, yes, this is what I said. This is what's going on. Yes, these are our goals. Those are our goals. Hell yeah. Oh, measures of success. Like people, okay, like she's telling me what an average would be and an excellent would be. Like that makes sense. Whatever. Harvard Business Review, like that's good. and value. Okay, like, yeah, I know that a small account in our business is like $1,000 or $2,000 and stuff like that. And then this is just math that like pretty much any business owner can get. So they're like, and then they're seeing big numbers before we get to the bottom. So they're seeing, $3 million, like right here, $1.8 million. So it's like, yeah, I want to, he said he wants to grow back to a $5 million company. So like, yeah, $3 million, like that would be great. Sure. And then all of this stuff is like, yeah, like, cool. This is all the stuff that they basically said that they want me to do, but I don't specify any quantity of assets. It just says, it's basically like what I might do. This one I made entirely based off of what they said to me. Then it's like, yeah, like all these sound cool. Like I want all this stuff. Oh yeah, like the timing, when can we start? Like, sure, we can do it in our timeline. Like, great. This joint accountability stuff is just my contract actually. So it's like, you're going to have to pay, you understand that sometimes you're going to have to pay extra money on a case-by-case basis for like videography or ad budgets. And, outside of the capabilities of my company, and that I always communicate that up front before we start commencing. I say in here, Doerschuck LLC does not pay for any client expenses. They have to maintain their website and their email marketing software and their advertising budget for PPC and stuff like that. Like I don't provide any of that. And then I say, then we get to the price, which is really small because writing in small makes people feel better when you're saying that you're going to charge them a lot of money. And then you can pay in full or half upfront to start. Or if I'm doing a monthly thing, I say that they can pay first month's deposit to start. And then you can offer a 10% professional discount if they pay all up front, because I would prefer if they pay all up front. Then I send, and here's a big tip for anyone sending out proposals, is that I always send every single one of my proposals signed already. So like, I don't want to send them the contract and then they sign it and then I have to countersign and then it fizzles out. So I'm like trying to reduce as much friction as possible by I've already signed it, I've already dated it. So by the time I'm sending it to them, they all they have to do is sign it and that's it. So that is just some tips on proposals.
Yeah, that's really cool. Actually, I love how detailed that was.
Yeah.
Is that standard industry practice, like to send out proposals for every prospect?
I would say no, but I would also say that the two biggest changes that I've made that have really leveled up my ability to make more money is changing my sales skills, like doing this prospecting format that I was showing, and doing these proposals like this. And what I do is when I have a successful, so let's say I have to make a new proposal for a client. I take the last successful proposal that was accepted of the highest dollar value. And then I copy that one and then I duplicate it and then I rename it. And then I just rewrite it from that, because I know that I'm already starting with a solid foundation. This already made me a lot of money. So I just take my highest closed project and copy that thing. And then I fill it in with the information that I have from my Evernote. So I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, doing this takes me a bit of time. It takes me 4 hours or more to write the proposal itself. But I don't do any I barely do any research up front. I just look at their website and look at their stuff. So I have some idea of what's going on, but otherwise I don't do any spec work. I don't spend any time on research. Basically anytime beforehand, they tell me all of this information in the call, and then I go and write the proposal and send it to them.
Okay, that's really cool. Yeah, it's nice to have a structured process as well. And if that's been working really well, then that's definitely something I should implement.
Yeah, cool. So that is time. We have been going at it hard for almost 2 hours, and Thank you so much, Disha, for joining us. And also, like, again, more power to you. Major props. You're the real MVP because, like, you got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to join us here. And I'm sure this was a lot of information to take in, like, first thing in the morning. But I am so happy to help.
Of course, yeah, and it's been really helpful. I mean, there's a lot of great tips about like proposals, definitely about project management, and about how I need to start tracking my time and everything. So I'm definitely going to be rewatching this, taking down some notes, letting you know if I have any questions, so you can put them up on your next session as well.
Yes,
And yeah,
thank you.
And yeah, thank you for taking the time to do this. I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from this as well.
Oh, one more tip about the time tracking. I forgot to mention it when we were talking about it, but so here's what I do. Also, let's say you know that you have to do email sequences and you've already done, like, somebody comes to you, they want new emails. You want to try to figure out like how long it's going to take you. What I do is I take the last 3 to 5 projects and I find an average amount of time. So like, let's say it was sales pages, because that's a little simpler. Then I'll tell you how it works for emails. So somebody wants a sales page. I look at my last 3 to 5 projects of it, the most recent ones. And then I add together the time that it took me and I average it. So that would give me a good idea of like an estimate of how long this sales page will take me. And then it's constantly an updated number because, like we were talking about before, every project you do makes you that much better. So you can keep doing new averages. So like as you get better at doing stuff and it takes you less time, you can get an idea in advance of whether or not your project or your price that you're quoting them or floating by or thinking about is going to like if it's going to be profitable or not for you. It's just like a way to try to figure that out in advance. And then here's how it works for emails. Instead of averaging it on a per project basis, I average the time on a per email basis. So like, let's say that do you know the difference in time between you writing 5 emails and 30 emails? Maybe not, but that would be helpful to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do is like add up all the time, like take your last 3 to 5 email projects, add up all the time. And unfortunately, you're going to have to track the time to be able to do this. But now you can start from scratch, track your time, super important, because it lets you play with these numbers. And it really gives you a better idea of like what projects are working for you, which ones aren't, which clients are working for you and are profitable, which ones aren't. So I add them all together and then I average them by the quantity of emails. So like, let's say the number was 100 hours and it was a total of like 50 emails across that project. Then I know that each additional email, and I count the research in the process. Cause like you were saying, obviously it's hard to estimate how long research and stuff like that is going to take. But then when you're doing it across multiple projects, it does give you at least a better idea of a factor of like how much research is going to be involved and stuff like that. So like, because it's averaged, it's not obviously not perfect, but it's at least a good guideline. And then I'll add up all that time. And if it was 100 hours and 50 emails, then I would just divide it. And then I know that each extra email might take me about 2 hours. Or you can start to look at patterns. So like I can see in my time tracking that usually I spend about 4 to 8 hours doing research before I'm able to start writing the emails. So you can even average together just your research time and subtract that from the rest of the total project time. So I know that like research takes me about 4 to 8 hours depending on, stuff, and that each additional email I add will take me on average another 45 minutes. So I can use those numbers to know, like if somebody came and they said, hey, I want you to write me like 52 emails, like one for every week that I can just load up and send out, then I can use that to try to figure out like about how long it's going to take me and like fit it into other stuff and stuff like that. So I'm glad that you mentioned the time tracking again, because I wanted to tell you that and that's where I was going with it. But then we've been like all around the internet and all around the sales process. So,
yeah.
All right. Thank you so much again for chilling.
Of course, it was really great. And thank you for all your help.
Absolutely.
Okay, bye.
Peace out. All right. Our guest is going to be peacing out. Thank you so much for everybody who joined me today on the Marketing Nerd Show, for sticking around. I appreciate that even though we went a bit over time, that you're still here. And this is probably one of the most active chats I've ever seen on one of our shows. So thank you so much for everybody who joined us. And remember to ask your questions about sales in the comments of this video, because I am going to be reviewing the comments of this video to find the top questions that are asked about sales so that we can review them on next week's episode, part 2 of our Freelancer Sales series. Now, what should you do if you want to continue learning about copywriting? What's a good next step for you to take after this video? Definitely make sure that you join my free 1-month sales copywriting course, where you're going to learn step-by-step processes for research, strategy, and of course, even more in-depth techniques on how to write stuff like sales pages and email sequences like you just learned today. You definitely want to join that and check that out at jamiedoerschuck.com/funnel. Also, if you want to join a community of smart marketers and business owners just like you, then come join our secret society. You'll find that at the Marketing Nerd Crew, jamiedoerschuck.com/crew. That's a place where we can connect with each other. You can get advice, not just from me, but also from professional marketers and high-level business owners just like yourself. Also, I heavily moderate the group, so you can be sure that there's nobody in there trying to scam you or sell you anything. You can find that link at jamiedoerschuck.com/crew, and you can find all the links that we just talked about, as well as all the other places of the Marketing Nerd community, in the description below. So if you like this video, then remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of my next free actionable marketing strategies. Thank you so much again for watching this far. I really appreciate it. If you decide to give any of these strategies that you learned in this video a try, please leave a comment and let me know how it goes, because I would love to hear from you. Also, if you're looking for something to watch next, definitely check out these 2 videos that just popped up on the screen for you, because I've personally selected them to follow what you're watching right now, so you know that you're gonna love them. Thank you so much once again for watching today's video, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.